Hey there, model railroad fans. Welcome to Vintage Road and Rail. In today's video, I'm up at the train club and we have our T-Trak set up still in place from our last open house, so I thought I would come up and do a quick video on it. Honestly, the biggest reason for it you might be able to see in the background is one of our members, Mike, a good friend of mine and our president, did this module, so we'll be looking at that in more detail at the end of the video. But I thought I would start right there at that industry and we would just kind of walk around and look at all the modules. Now we have more modules than this, and you can see that one in the center was on the layout until that white module came into play. But we have a few more stored away as we could set this up. It'd probably be about twice as long or close to it. And we're actually kicking around the idea of clearing out a room and setting up the T-Trak permanently. I mean, it would still be able to be taken down and, you know, move it to places, but it would be somewhere we could leave it up all the time instead of taking up our meeting room here. So anyway, let's walk around here. And let's go on, you crazy thing. Kind of get it down. There we go. Now I've got one of our members' trains running here. If he sees this, he might be grumpy with me. But we only have one running because I didn't think to bring one with me, so I was glad he had something up here. Anyway, so this one module here, if I can get this. It wants to go up and down just fine, but oh well. Alright, so this one module here has an industry on it, and looks like this takes up, if you're not familiar with T-Trak, and I'm not the most familiar with it either, the modules typically come in 1, 2, 3, or 4 width sections. One module being roughly 1 foot long by 1 foot wide. That's not exact, but roughly. So with this one being 3, it would be 3 foot. Alright, so this one, as you can see, has an industry on it. And then as we go around, we can see a module here with just some businesses, a small industry there. And this corner module is just a little mountain with a tunnel. And if we come on around and I don't run into the table, this module here, we see that we've got a fire, and we got the firefighters there trying to contain it. And this one here is very popular. It's an accident. We had many nicknames for it, and it's based on this lake right here, or this little pond. Loogie Lake, Snot Pond, and there's a lot of others that we call it. Doug, who made this module, had kicked around replacing it, but it's been so popular when people come over to see it. You know, others think it's where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are born, just all kind of things. So he opted just to leave it. And basically what happened is, whatever it was he used to make it, there was a reaction with the foam. So let's come around here, and we just have a little lake module here. And this is another one of our 3x. And this one we have basically, this one and the next one is farmland. So we have some orchard trees here, and we've got what I'm assuming is corn. And on this module we've actually got turnout, so we can switch the train to the other track if we so choose. Down here we've got a tractor baling hay, and then we've got the barn and the farmhouse. This one is still in progress. So really, all that's there is just buildings. I mean, you can pick them up and move them around. And this next one, we have a passenger terminal. And in here, we've got a little, I'm not real sure how you want to describe this scene. It's got a little road here where you got some traffic going by and looks like the beginnings of a neighborhood, or just a couple of houses on a small road coming off the main road here. And then this next one is like that other corner module we looked at. It's still under some construction. You can just pick up and move everything. Some of these modules are left that way on purpose so that we can demonstrate the progression. I know one of the ideas that has been floated is actually have a line of them up, you know, like a bare module with just a track, and then, you know, the next module with a little scenery and so on and so forth until you see a fully built up one. We haven't quite committed to that, but it's something we're kind of thinking. Now this one here is my personal favorite, and like I said, my buddy Mike did this one, and he has done a Star Wars Battle of Hoth scene. If I can get this stupid thing to go where I want it to. It's got a mind of its own. Alright, now he 3D printed all of this. Some of it he did himself, using a standard filament printer, and that's what he did with these AT-ATs and ATSTs. A friend of his did some of the smaller stuff, like the snow speeder, using a resin printer. You just get a lot more detail with that. So let's kind of focus in on some of the things that we've got here. So here we got our advancing Empire. We got 2 AT-ATs and we got 2 ATSTs. And up here we've got a couple of Tauntauns. It took me a second to remember what they're called. And here we've got some Empire soldiers advancing on the Rebel soldiers. And here we've got a crashed snow speeder. And here we've got our Rebel soldiers and some laser turrets and a snow speeder. And this is Echo Base. So you can see they are trying to prevent the Empire from going into Echo Base. And so if we move on up into this little mountain area here, we can see our ion cannon. This is what they use during the evacuation process to disable Star Destroyers in orbit. And then we have another little snow speeder and another laser turret. And up here we've got a couple of more Tauntauns. And if we come down here, let's see if I can move this up. You can see we got a Wampa, if I'm not mistaken, in there, and we got a train coming. So there's been a couple of things. This module is very well done, and it's my personal favorite. I got to really shout Mike. Give Mike a good shout out for this. It's really well done. I've told him we ought to do the whole doggone thing Star Wars themed. But as much as, you know, I and a lot of other members love it, we all couldn't help but kind of give our own 2 cents. And Mike had a few ideas himself that he wished he had done. One of which was in this tunnel. He wishes he had had Luke Skywalker hanging upside down from where the Wampa had captured him and, you know, was, I guess, prepping to eat him. An idea that I had had was this crashed snow speeder. You should have had Luke laying belly on, you know, belly down on the ground, like he remember in Empire Strikes Back. He jumped out just before one of these AT-ATs stepped on it. So I thought he should move that to where it looks like it's about to step on it, and then you see Luke having jumped out and landed on the in the snow there. And then you can see a lot of detail, blast marks and stuff like that, and a little trench. I mean, he did an excellent job with that. And so we may as well, while we're at it, kind of focus on the train. This is John Madden's train. He don't like people touching his equipment. So if he sees this, he's probably going to yell at me. I'm sorry, John. But he's got a couple of Santa Fe locomotives here. This is done by DC, but we could easily do DCC. And he's got him a nice train here. Mix of cars, some weathered, some not. Some have some nice loads on them. And since we're here, we may as well show, this is the module that was here before the Star Wars. It had a little industry here, and then we had like a little small river or creek, and we had the bridge going over it. So we could easily pop the Star Wars module out and put this one back in its place if we so chose. So anyway, that is a look at the Central Ohio Model Railroad Club's T-Trak setup. Lots of very interesting modules here, and it just really shows what you can do with T-Trak if you're into N-scale. I mean, you can be uniform all the way around towards you have one ongoing theme, or you can just let everybody be creative, which I really like that, because it would show any visitors or people looking at it that may not be necessarily into model railroading or considering it. Shows all the different avenues that you can go into with T-Trak. All right, well, that wraps up this video. If you enjoyed taking a look at this, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And let me know down in the comments, is there a module that was your favorite on this layout? Do you have a T-Trak module? And if so, describe it. And if you have a video on it, post it down in the comments so I can check it out. And that will wrap this up. Thank you very much, model railroad fans, for joining me today. Happy model railroading, guys. Take care.